And now it's Deborah Kobylt Live and the Little Italy podcast.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on Deborah Kobylt Live and our Little Italy podcast. I'm your host, Deborah Zara Kobylt, and joining me is Anna Harsh. I'm so excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us, Anna.
I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, you're really quite an exuberant person. The more I've read about you, I just got more into what it is that you do. You are an award-winning dancer, choreographer, and artistic director. You founded the Allegro Dance Company. And what's exciting about that is your passion is bringing to us Italian dance throughout the different dances throughout the 20 regions in Italy. And the more I was diving into it, the more I realized that, gosh, I don't really know much at all about Italian dance. Can you tell us about how you started this?
Yeah, it was a college thesis project when I was a dance major. My undergraduate degree is in dance. And so I was attending Slippery Rock University doing my dance thesis project to graduate. And I thought, gosh, I'm going to do my cultural heritage. I'm going to do Italian folk dance as my last project. And as I was researching, I couldn't find any books. I couldn't find hardly anything, written down across libraries across the United States. So I had to ask a few friends that studied in Italy, studied dance, and they were quite really gracious to give me their information. So that was how I completed my project. And then professors were encouraging me, hey, this is different, Anna. Why don't you take it to a festival and try it out, for the public? And so I gathered a few friends, rehearsed my mom and dad's backyard, and danced for a few festivals. And we just got bombarded with gigs. And I thought, oh no, we're a group, I guess.
Yeah. So, but you've performed for some quite notable figures. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the years, we've danced for so many festivals and different places, but it was my hometown priest that recommended, I was going to Italy, I was going to do more research, and we were performing as a group in Italy. He said, you know what, maybe I can get you some tickets to get into the Vatican to be at an outdoor mass, and maybe you can perform for the Pope. And I said, gosh, that's a long shot, but okay, let's try. And so we did, and Pope John Paul came over, blessed us in two languages. We did a little performance for him right there. He clapped along, of course, and swayed with us. And we were just shocked and very honored.
Wow. So you were performing. It wasn't really even planned, or was it? You were. Wow, that's pretty exciting. I'm going to try that. Next time I go to Italy, I'm going to start performing. I'm going to learn some of your dances, and I'm going to perform right outside the Vatican and hope that the Pope comes to bless me. That would be magnificent. I'm being silly, of course, because I think that's quite a moment, oh my goodness moment. We've got something going here, right?
Right. It's a pinch me moment. I mean, that was definitely on my vision board, to at least see the Pope in person when I was in sixth grade and made that vision board that we all make, those dreams. And everything on that board so far has come true. So I'm starting a new vision board for the future.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You must. So you come from an artistic family, right? Tell us about the arts that your family is involved with. And then, of course, tell us where they're from in Italy. We want to know the whole package.
Yeah. I mean, my grandparents all came from Calabria, the bottom of the boot, the toe of the boot. And so all four grandparents came from Calabria, had arranged marriages and came in the early 1920s and then established themselves in West Virginia and worked in the coal mines. They both my grandfathers played mandolins and sang. And of course, my parents loved music. And then as we started digging into our heritage and genealogy, we found out that on my mom's side, over 500 years worth of generations have been artists, singers, dancers, musicians. Yeah, so it runs in our blood. It's in our DNA.
Yeah, that's magnificent. As you started doing your research in the various regions, did you look up local people that were there? Did you go into dance halls? Like, how did you do this? Plus, I know that you may not be fluent or were not fluent in the language at the time, so that wasn't so easy, right?
It's not easy. I'm still studying my Italian. I'm not the best at it. I'm really messy with it, but I'm practicing, and that's what my family tells me in Italy. Keep practicing. You're doing great.
Yeah.
We understand each other, but it's friends of friends, that kind of guide me. Oh, hey, I know someone that teaches, or hey, let's try this dance studio. And so I've learned to find these people in different ways. And yeah, I've studied in 4 or 5 different regions now with beautiful instructors, amazing teachers that not only teaching me the steps and the dances, but the heritage and the history behind it, the stories that go along with the dances, that the dances tell these stories, and they're so beautiful and so amazing. And some are dating back over 2,000 years.
Wow, can you give us one or two as an example, would you? That's
Sure.
pretty exciting, right? Especially this is new for you. When something's new and you're studying something and you're embarking upon a new journey, it's like, wow, I mean, eyes wide open, right?
Right. I mean, as family, you do the tarantella. Everybody says the tarantella, right? At family weddings, events, and things like that, you make a circle and you hop on one foot to the other. The arms might be outstretched and you might shake a handkerchief. But I thought, well, what does that really mean? What is all of this about? And then as I was studying it more in depth, tarantella is a genre of dances, a genre of
Mm.
music. And so around 7 of the 20 regions do a variation of the tarantella. So, for example, in the Campania region, they have a beautiful dance called tamariata that has dances with castanets or nacchere. We call them nacchere in Italian. They dance with castanets. And so this
Wow.
dance is like earthy and vibrant and giving praise and honor to the earth and all of the grains that it gives us, praise to the sky for the rain and the sun that, you know, builds our crops and so we can have that harvest. So it's like a blessing and it's a prayerful dance. And they use it for processions as well.
Wow. You know what? I had no idea. Everyone who goes to an Italian wedding, an Italian festival, there's always the, come on, hum it with me. Dun,
Right.
dun, 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 right? I mean,
Right.
everybody's doing that one. So you're telling me there's many variations on that.
Yes, the music is completely different. There's
Wow.
variations. I even have a drum that I bought recently in Puglia that it's handmade, and I'm learning how to play that properly now. It's called a tamburo, a drum. So tamariata is a dance of the drum. That's what it was originally
Wow.
called, and tamariata is the name of the dance and the rhythms. So I got a chance to really study and dig deep into that, and not only that, but just the heritage and the surrounding heritage and history around each region that really affects how I understand the dance. Well, what was going on in history at the time? And what
Hmm.
were the people doing? So it helps me understand the dances and get a little deeper into each movement.
You know, there really is a history behind everything if we
Yeah,
look into it, right? Including from our own country here, from the Native Americans, the beautiful dances that they had and have to this day. And, you know, you look at Italy and you don't really realize that. We just have a few that at least I know from my family. But the fact that you're bringing all this to us, it's a whole new thing to learn for us as Italians and Italian Americans. Tell me another story from that, you know, something that you experienced when you were there, another region where people came up to you and were happy to teach you about their tradition and their dance.
yeah, absolutely. So some of the teachers that I get a chance to study with not only know their regional dances, but they'll tell me about other regions. So I got a chance to learn some northern dances that include
Oh.
polkas and mazurkas. As you travel north up the boot, the posture changes. It's very upright and it's very
Hmm.
polished and ballroom-esque. Waltzes,
Interesting.
polkas, mazurkas. And so you're going to find that in the North, and they have a French influence or a Swiss influence or maybe even a German influence. But as you
Yeah.
travel down to the South, to the deeper toe or heel of the boot, it's going to be earthy dances, circular dances that all about community. That's the number one thing I've learned is community. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a varied country, right? It really is from north to south, just as you described it. Earthy in the south, a little more maybe polka ish, which would make complete sense as you get further north. Do they all sort of coincide nicely? Do they honor each other's dances or how does that work?
Yeah, I think so today. Some of the teachers that I've studied with do travel extensively. They go to other countries as well, but they'll travel up to different regions and give workshops now. And I see that people are embracing it and dancing in the piazzas outside. So I think people just want to celebrate being Italian. It doesn't really matter what region you're from. I think that's why I kind of related to it as well. Well, what does it mean to be fully Italian? Just not from your own region, but The whole country. What does the whole country embrace? How do we go from head to toe, literally, and find out what's the food like? What is the wine like? The music, the dance, the artwork, and why it has those influences, maybe from different regions and countries that sprinkle into each region. It's interesting.
You need to connect with Stanley Tucci because he does this through food, and you're doing this through dance. We need to get you in touch with him, right? Because that's
Yeah.
pretty extraordinary. This is exciting. It's very lively. I like that you've done that. So through your travels, right? How long do you usually stay in Italy when you're going to study a particular dance?
Gosh, it's usually about 2 weeks, and usually I try.
Oh,
It's intense. Like the dance classes are intense. I'm there with a teacher several hours, and sometimes I'm with a group. Group classes as well. They'll invite me to take the class with a group, so that's nice to get a group understanding, and everybody has their own take on the dance, and so they give me their feedback as a dancer in Italy. So that's really great. And then just traveling through, gosh, I've been doing it since I was in sixth grade, but now I try to go
mm,
every year or every other year. As long as I can afford it, I'm going back and studying some more. But thankfully, we have Zoom like we're doing today. I can always keep in touch with dance teachers there, and they'll give me feedback on what I'm doing here. Add this, Anna, add this cape, do this costume. So they give me feedback, which is great to keep up with.
so you add in, of course, the costume of each dance, right? Do you make them yourself? Tell us about that.
You have to make them yourself. I mean, I buy pieces here and there of a basic skirt, a basic vest, but then you have to add all those trimmings. Obviously, you can't buy these costumes here in the United States.
Yeah.
So I have to sew. I've learned how to sew throughout the years and do a little bit on my own, or I hire someone to help us make these costumes. I do choose lighter fabrics because the original fabrics, usually in the further south, is very heavy and wool
Yeah.
or really heavy, and that we would just die if we wore those here at the
Yeah.
festival. We would just be fainting all the time. But we try to do
Yeah.
lighter fabrics and have the same look or feel to the costumes that they would once wear, for sure.
Yeah. Now you have a dance company, and I know that you are out of Pennsylvania. How do you manage getting everyone together to go perform? Because you perform at festivals throughout the country, right? Internationally as well. How do you put it all together? That's not so easy.
It's not easy. I wear a lot of hats. It's a lot of organization for sure, a lot of lists, as I talk in my books, a lot of lists and lists of lists. But we do rehearse via Zoom sometimes, and then we get together in person once or twice a month because
Oh,
everybody
okay.
knows the basic steps, and we put everybody together. And it's a great way to see, strangers really become friends the moment that they hold
Hmm.
hands to become a partner and dance with the company. And we travel all over to perform, wherever we get asked, if they can afford to fly us somewhere or drive us somewhere, to show up and perform at a festival or event, celebrations. We'll go anywhere. I've done a lot of different things on my own as well to teach workshops for dance companies or other dance studios or university dance departments. So we do a lot. I wear a lot of hats, but slowly, step by step, as we say, we improve each time and we get it together, and we really love performing on the road.
Would you say this is a passion of yours?
Yeah. And if there was another word beyond passion, I think that's what I have at this point. It's maybe obsession.
That's beautiful though, because that drives us, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I want to preserve these for the next generation because when I was trying to look up this information, it didn't exist. So I want the Anna of the future to have this knowledge and find it easily. So,
Hmm. Are young people taking to this? And are you going to schools and getting the really young ones interested? Tell me about that.
yeah, my alumni that had danced with me at the beginning now have children that they are
Oh, wow.
interested in. So we're calling them petite Allegro, the next generation.
Okay.
And they do dance with us, and we try to do workshops at schools and other events. And that's the reason why I wrote my books, because now I can put it in their hands and they can read about these dances and ask the questions that I asked myself as a young dancer so they can think about their future.
Magnificent. Absolutely wonderful. Um, Tell me a little bit about the documentary, because you also have written two books. We're going to get into that, but you've done a documentary on this great passion of yours. Tell us about it. Tell us about that. What's it called? And
Right.
how can people take a look at it? I don't believe it's on YouTube yet, But tell
Right.
us about the documentary.
We're working on that. Next year
Yeah.
marks our 10th anniversary of this documentary. It was something that I wanted to produce on my own. It wasn't easy, of course. So I
No.
had a little bit of help with a local library that helped me get a grant to help hire someone to edit and that sort of thing. My brother did the music for the whole documentary. He's a musician, so he wrote music for the whole documentary. And of course, it's edited clips of all the festivals that we've gone to and interviews I've done with dance teachers in Italy, some video footage of Italy. And I wanted again to leave those dance prints, those footprints in the future behind for the next generation. So you can find it in libraries across the United States and
Oh,
Canada,
good.
as well as the University of Calabria has a copy, and
Oh,
I believe the NIAF has a copy as well. So I am trying to get it out there and into schools and into universities, but you can request it from me, and they'll send you a digital copy so that you can show it to your students or show it and have it in your libraries and locally across the United States for sure.
I love that. Well, what's the name of the documentary for people who want to look it up?
Yeah, it's called La Danza, Bridging Time Through Dance.
Beautiful. And your book, you've written two books. One of them is called La Danza, Conflict, Passion, and Healing.
Yeah.
Your other book, which is online, is The Italian Dance Quest. Now, this one, the paperback version, Conflict, Passion, and Healing. What is that about? Is that about healing through dance? Tell us.
Yeah, those were the themes that I kept finding or coming across when I was studying these dances from the South. So they might have been about battles. There's a Tamariata
Mm,
variation that is about a battle. It
wow.
could be about passion that you have for one another. That's the pizzica from Puglia, that tarantella. And then
Mm,
the healing rhythms, the bite of the spider is why the tarantella exists, right? And we would do these dances to heal ourselves or rid of the poison of a spider bite. So those are the themes that I kept coming across. And then I talk about the themes of my own life, conflicts, passion, and healing process that we all kind of relate to and we all go through in life.
yeah. Tell us about a moment in time in your life that this really helped get you through, would you?
Ooh, gosh. Getting through college as a dance major wasn't easy,
Mm,
but I think dance really does bring you joy, lets you express your emotions, and just brings a little something to the audience. And so you feel like, oh, I'm giving you a gift, the audience. And so I think that's how dance has helped me for sure. For sure.
yeah. Tell me about growing up. What was your household like? Was it a typical Italian back east household, like Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania kind of household? Lots of food going on, talking, or dance in your case? Tell us about that.
Yeah. There was always music and dance. Of course,
Mm,
those Sunday dinners, but that was every night. I don't know if people do family dinners anymore, but we still sit down as a family. At least my husband and I do, as well as the dancers when they come to rehearse. We sit down as a family after rehearsal and have dinner together. That's still a practice that I do, of course. And making those traditional dishes, the baking, the dishes at, Christmas Eve, the fish, of course. Oh gosh, the fish, the smell of the fish, right, for Christmas Eve. All of those practices, growing up like that, absolutely typical. When you go to grandparents' house, you speak Italian. When you come home, you speak English. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. So you always took to this then, right? It's not because I know as a kid, whatever was traditional, I sort of turned away from it, right? If they were making the 11 fishes, actually, not even seven, I would be like, why do you have to do that? As a kid, a very young kid, I almost just looked the other way, not really understanding their tradition. And a lot of young people did that,
Yeah.
especially when our parents and grandparents were, freshly um, off the boat, as we like to say. And a lot of times we were like, no, we're American. And then as we get older, right, we learn to appreciate each and every bit, each and every dish,
Right.
the way they speak, right? Like my mom would say that she spoke Napolitan.
Oh,
Um, and I would be like, well, what's that? It's Italian, right? And then she'd try and teach me, the different dialects throughout Italy. And the older we get, the more we appreciate it. And I like the fact that you're making this fresh so that young people can really appreciate, our culture over there in Italy, right?
right. Yeah, I try to make it a little more contemporary. Throughout our show performances, not only do we do these authentic dances, but then I bring something that's modern, maybe some contemporary music that Italians are listening to, and we might choreograph a modern piece or a jazz number or a ballroom piece. I also have a singer that does opera in our show. So we try to
Oh,
make it a little more contemporary that somebody today can relate to. Um, and we bring stories through these contemporary movement or modern dance, ballet, jazz, even tap dance. And we tell stories about the history of Italy or, just a small pinch of the traditions in a weird, new, fresh way so that the next generation can relate to it for sure.
yeah. Now, this is not all that you do, right? You also do voice. Can you tell us what else did you do and what else did you do in terms of dance and other artistic endeavors that you're involved with?
Sure. Besides writing, I do a lot of choreography. I'm working on musicals constantly. I do 3 or 4 musicals for community people, high schools, universities. I do a lot of choreography for that. And then I also have my own podcast, The Dance Floor podcast, where I interview dancers that give advice and tips for the next
Oh, I love that.
generation so that we can just grow as dancers and performers, and keep learning. And that's our method is to keep learning, not be stagnant with your information, just keep learning and growing and researching so that we can just become better and better each time we take the stage. So those are some other things besides my books and the documentary and performing and choreographing. I do a podcast every other week, and it's called The Dance Floor.
The Dance Floor podcast. I want to make sure that people can look that up. Where can they find that, by the way? Is it an audio, a video
Yeah,
podcast? What is it?
just audio, and you can find it wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we talk about how the life lessons that you learn through taking the art of dance, as well as
Hmm.
tips and techniques that we can learn as well.
I love that you told me off the air that you're working on or recently done a musical SpongeBob, right, in the theaters.
Right.
I just thought, wow, that's kind of interesting, because I think of you as all things Italian, all things Italy. And when you said SpongeBob, I thought, well, no, she really is a very varied performer, right? Could you tell us about that production?
Yeah, that's going on in Moundsville, West Virginia at the Strand Theater. And so it's 6 weeks that we're with this cast. I'm choreographing the whole show. And so, yeah, musical theater has always been in my blood a little bit. My mom and I used to watch musical theater on television as well. Ginger Roger, Fred Astaire, of course, those black and white days. I was just obsessed with it. And so SpongeBob, the musical, came about, and they asked me again to come back and be the choreographer for it. And I was thrilled because it has so many different dance styles that I'm tapping into: jazz, hip hop, tap, everything, chorus line, like you name it. There's different dance styles in this musical. So I get a chance to really wear lots of hats as a dancer and choreographer and make the show just fun and amazing for families to come out and enjoy for sure.
Do you have a bucket list, like something you really, really want to do or really want to perform? You want to perform for or perform at? Is there anything you'd just love to do?
Yeah, I think next year, and I think it's going to come true. I'm hoping, but I think I'm going to go
Mm.
back to Italy and perform in Italy again with some new dance teachers that I've embraced and made friends with. And so I think we're going to do a show together, possibly have me in their show. So that's one of the things. And then I'm working on, of course, more writings in the future, and then a conference that I'd like to take across the United States where I can teach others to become teachers of these different tarantellas and different Italian dances so that they can pass it on to the future. And so it never dies in our country. We can keep doing these dances into the future. I mean, they're thousands of years old. We can't let the ball drop now, right?
No, but because of the history that you put behind this, it'd be great for you to get in touch with some of the Italian American museums that are. I know we have a terrific one here in Los Angeles,
Right.
over in New York. I believe
Yeah.
there's one in New Orleans. They're sort of everywhere. So I'd love to see you, get in touch with some of those folks there to preserve the history there and maybe perform there too. That'd be great.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Presenting and doing some workshops. Absolutely. I mean, that's where it should live, right? We should have our
Yeah.
history museums, do a little bit of research on my group. And then I would love to offer the documentary, the books, and they can put it in their museum as well to be on display and have it access to the public. We have been
Yeah.
honored at my own hometown in Clarksburg, West Virginia, their history museum. In fact, the mayor gave me this proclamation behind me, um,
Oh,
declaring, Allegro Dance Company Day, and we celebrated last year our 30th anniversary. So the mayor of
wow.
that town honored us as the company, and I got a chance to put some of our things on display at that history museum. So that was really an honor and great fun.
Oh, I love your attitude. I love your spirit with preserving this for the rest of us. I really do. So I really appreciate you joining us. So is there anything else you'd like to add? You'd like people to know about you and about Allegro Dance Company and everything that you're doing?
Sure, you can always visit our website. My personal website for the books is annaharsh.com. And then if you want to learn more about the company, allegrodancecompany.net is where you can learn about the company and invite us to come and perform wherever you are in the country and learn these dances. Don't wait until next year. Do it today because they are disappearing.
Yeah, they are. Not only is it fun for young people, but I can only imagine for older people who might be familiar with these dances, right? That would be really special to see them getting up and going because, moving your body it's a happy thing to do, right?
Yes, I mean, these dances were built to heal you. So
Mm.
why not take advantage of those, benefits and becoming a community, holding hands with somebody else in the community, understanding another culture, whether you're Italian or not, is part of learning, right? To understand one another and why we do these things, why we dance this way, why we cook this certain dish. Understand different cultures is really interesting, and we all need those flavors in life to survive.
Yeah, and it's great to know the connection. It really helps to heal us. I believe that. I do. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Anna. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
And please look up Anna on her website on social media as well. You want to give a shout out to your handle on social media? Or I think you have two of them.
Yeah, you can follow me at Tambourine Chronicles. You'll see all things Allegro there, as well as my books, documentary, and the Dance Floor podcast for sure.
Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful to have you finally on our show. I know we've tried to connect for quite some time and it worked out. I'm thrilled. So, Anna Harsh, thank you very, very much. And you can find my interview with Anna on YouTube, Facebook, and then we post promos on our Instagram. And then, of course, as an audio podcast, you'll find us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's we're on iHeart, we're on Apple, and just any place else, including Spotify. Just look us up. Little Italy podcast and Anna Harsh, and of course, Deborah Kobylt Live podcast with Anna Harsh. So thank you very much, Anna, and thank you to our audience for joining us. Please tell your